There is a Sunday afternoon that every parent over 60 knows. You cooked, you cleaned, you set the table, you chose the recipe they loved when they were small. You bought the ingredients 2 days before. You prepared everything carefully, the way you always did. When they were coming home, and then you waited. The food grew cold. The afternoon light faded slowly into grey. The table stayed set for people who never arrived. No call, no text, just silence. And somewhere, in that silence, a thought you did not want to have arrived anyway. Is this what it is going to be like now? If you know that afternoon, if you have sat at that table, or something like it, this video is for you. Not because I have a solution, not because Buddhism offers a way to make your children call more often, but because there is a pain that parents in their 60s and 70s almost never speak aloud. Not the pain of a death, not the pain of a dramatic falling out, not even the pain of a clear goodbye, but the quiet, slow, bewildering pain of watching your children drift away from you while they are still alive, while they are still just busy. And if you have been carrying that quietly, pretending it doesn't hurt as much as it does, telling yourself they have their own lives, making excuses for silences that have stretched into months, then I want to sit with you today, because the Buddha had something to say about this. Not to lecture you, not to tell you what to feel, but to help you carry it, without it crushing you. Today we look at 5 things Buddhism wants you to know. When your children stop coming home, the first thing, their distance is not a verdict on your worth as a parent. When your children stop visiting, when the calls grow fewer, when the holidays pass quietly, when the grandchildren's birthdays come and go, and you find out what they wore from a photo on someone else's phone, the mind does what minds always do. In the presence of unexplained pain, it searches for a reason. What did I do wrong? Was I too much? Not enough? Too demanding? Too available? Did I say something years ago that I cannot remember, but that they have never forgotten? You replay moments from decades past. You look back at decisions you made when they were small and you were younger and doing the best you could with what you knew. You wonder if the silence is a punishment you somehow earned, a verdict delivered without a trial. The Buddha taught a concept called anatta, often translated as non-self. At its heart, it means this: we spend our entire lives building a story about who we are, what kind of parent we were, what kind of person, whether we were good enough, and then we take everything that happens and we run it through that story, measuring it, judging it, using it as evidence. When your children pull away, the mind says, this is evidence. This proves something about me, about the parent I was, about the love I gave or failed to give. But here is what the Buddha would say: their choices are not your verdict. They are not a mirror of your worth. They are not a report card on the decades you spent raising them. They are simply their choices, made from their own fears, their own wounds, their own lives that have grown in directions you could not control and were never meant to. You gave them roots. What they do with their wings is not yours to carry. You are not on trial, and their silence is not a sentence. The second thing, grief is the right response, and it deserves to be honored. So many parents over 60 move very quickly past what they are actually feeling. They say, I don't want to be a burden. They have their own lives. I understand I was young once too. They're busy. Everyone is busy. And all of that may be true. Every word of it. And none of it means you are not allowed to grieve. Because what you are living through is a real loss. Not death, not a door slammed and locked, but loss. The loss of the relationship you imagined when you were holding them as babies. The Sunday dinners you pictured when they were teenagers you could not wait to see grow up. The grandchildren climbing into your lap. The phone calls for no reason. Just to say hello, just to hear your voice. Just because you are their parent and they wanted to talk to you. You imagined all of that, and it did not arrive. Or it arrived briefly and then faded. Or it is arriving in such small doses that each one feels more like a reminder of what is missing than a sign that anything is really there. The Buddha never taught us to suppress grief. He never said the path to peace runs through pretending. In the Pali teachings, grief soka is recognized as one of the deepest and most human experiences, not a weakness, not a failure of wisdom or practice, not something to be moved past as quickly as possible, simply the natural response of a heart that loved deeply and is now holding more space than it knows what to do with. Your grief is not self-pity. Your grief is love, with nowhere left to go, and it deserves to be honored, not performed, not explained or justified, not minimized so that others feel more comfortable around you, simply felt, and then, slowly, with patience and great kindness toward yourself, released. The third thing, you cannot love them into coming back, and trying to will cost you everything. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that parents in this situation know well. The extra calls worded carefully, so they don't feel like pressure. The messages crafted and recrafted until they sound casual enough that the door doesn't close further. The invitations extended in the specific tone that says, "Please come, but you don't have to. I understand if you can't." No pressure, really. The gifts that arrive on every birthday and holiday, without exception, even when nothing comes back. The making yourself smaller, quieter, less needy, taking up less space, in the hope that less space might be easier to come back to. And still, the distance remains. The Buddha taught about upadana, clinging. He said, "Our suffering does not come from loss itself. It comes from the desperate, exhausting effort to prevent the loss, from holding so tightly to what is already changing, already slipping through our fingers, despite our grip, that we lose ourselves entirely. In the act of holding on, you cannot love someone into choosing you. You can only love them and release them to walk their own path, and discover perhaps for the first time that in releasing them, you have not lost yourself, that you are still here, still whole, still worthy of love, whether or not they have found their way back to you. This is not giving up. This is not coldness. This is not the absence of love. It is the hardest, most sacred form of love there is, to hold someone dear in your heart, while loosening your grip on what they owe you. The fourth thing, their silence may have nothing to do with you. This one is difficult to believe. When you are inside the pain of it, when the phone hasn't rung in 3 weeks, when the holiday passed without a visit, when you heard from someone else that they were in town last weekend. In moments like those, it is almost impossible to believe that their silence is not about you. But hear this, your adult children are carrying things you cannot see from where you stand. Their marriages, the ones that look fine from the outside, and are anything but. Their financial pressures, the debts and uncertainties that press on every quiet moment. Their own fears about time and failure, and whether they are good enough at the things that matter to them. Their own grief about things that happened in their childhood that they have never found the words to speak. Wounds they carry quietly. Questions they have never asked you. Feelings they do not know how to have. In your presence, without the weight of history pressing down on every interaction. The Buddha taught a principle called dependent origination, pratitya samutpada. The understanding that nothing arises alone. Every action, every choice, every silence grows from 1,000 causes, stretching back further than we can see. Your children's distance did not appear from nowhere. It grew slowly from roots you cannot fully trace, from their own experiences, their own fears, their own unfinished work that they are still in the middle of. Most of it has nothing to do with how much you are loved. This does not make the pain smaller. It does not fill the empty sundae. It does not bring them to the table, but it may help you carry the weight of it without the added and crushing belief that you are the reason, that you caused this, that you are somehow the wound at the center of all of it. You are not. And knowing that, even imperfectly, even on the difficult days, is not nothing. The fifth thing, this season of your life still belongs to you. Here is the most important thing. Buddhism wants you to know, and it is not about your children. It is about you. The years you have now are not a waiting room. They are not the hallway you sit in, hoping a door will open. They are not the aftermath of something. They are not the leftovers of a life that was built for other people and now has nothing left to fill it. They are your life, still, right now, fully and completely yours. The Buddha taught about the present moment, not as philosophy, and not as comfort, and not as something you arrive at. After enough practice, he taught it as the only thing that is actually real. This breath, this afternoon, this cup of tea warming your hands right now, these are not consolation prizes for the Sunday dinners that never happened. They are not second best. They are not what you settle for when what you really wanted didn't come. They are the life that is actually here, the life that does not require anyone's permission, the life that does not need to be validated by who showed up at your table. And the person who learns to receive that life, who stops waiting for others to arrive, before giving themselves permission to live, that person discovers something the Buddha spent his entire teaching life trying to point toward, that the deepest peace does not come from having the right people around you. It comes from being at home, within yourself, from finding, perhaps for the first time, in a life spent giving to others, that you yourself are enough company, that your own presence is worth showing up for. You are not waiting, you are living, and your life, this quiet, ordinary, unremarkable, extraordinary life, is not diminished by who is not in it. It is simply yours, and it is still here, and so are you. If this video found you on one of those quiet Sundays, if you have been sitting with this particular kind of grief and not knowing what to do with it, please know this: you are not alone in it. There are people watching this right now who know exactly what that empty afternoon feels like, who have set that table, who have waited, who have made excuses, and then stopped making them, and then didn't know what to feel instead. Subscribe if you would like to keep walking this path together, because every few days we sit here and we look at the things that are hardest to carry, and we ask what 2,500 years of wisdom has learned about carrying them with grace. And if you know a parent who is holding this quietly, who says they are fine, when you can see that they are not, share this with them. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is simply sit beside someone and say, I see what you are carrying. It is real. You are not alone, and you are not the reason.